The days are getting shorter, the temperature is starting to drop, and football is back. All of this can only mean one thing. It's officially fall. And when the seasons change, you know it's time for the latest edition of Como Comic Books' Top 10 Comics to Invest in before it's too late. So grab your favorite pumpkin spice consumable, break out the flannel, and let's talk about some comics. This video is brought to you by Otis. What is Otis, you might ask? Otis is an alternative investment platform where you can buy and sell shares of cultural assets, including contemporary art, sneakers, and collectibles such as comic books and video games. It is as simple as downloading the Otis app and signing up for the service for free. Then, just watch for the weekly drops of new assets, or you can search the catalog of previous drops to choose which items you'd like to invest in. From there, you simply manage your portfolio by staying up to date with the latest news and pricing information on your investments. And when the time comes, you can either sell your shares to other Otis members or receive a proportional return on your investment if Otis sells the item you've invested in for more than the price at which you bought your shares. At the time of the recording of this video, there were some great key comic books available. The most recently acquired comic book asset is an extremely sharp-looking copy of Special Marvel Edition 15 in CGC 9.8 with white pages. Other comic book assets available include Silver Age Marvel issues, including a CGC 9.6 Daredevil #1 with off-white white pages, a CGC 9.2 X-Men #1 with white pages, and a CGC 9.4 Avengers #1 with white pages, and last but not least, a CGC 9.6 Fantastic Four 52, which features the first appearance of the Black Panther. Sign up for Otis with the link in my description and get your first share free when you fund your account. Terms do apply. Thanks to Otis for sponsoring this installment of Comics to Invest in. After a crazy spring and summer where comic book prices were soaring to record high prices across the board, the market is taking a bit of a breather with recent sales of many key issues cooling off from their highs earlier this year. If you're someone who believes in buying the dip, then now may be your time to shine. Let's check out the list. If you're in need of a seasoned babysitter who also happens to be a talented and powerful witch, then check out our number 10 book, Fantastic Four number 94, which features the first appearance of Agatha Harkness. This January 1970 issue caught a big bounce earlier this year when Disney Plus's WandaVision introduced Agatha to the MCU. However, it's back in the spotlight following a Variety report that Agatha Harkness is set to receive her very own Disney Plus spinoff. The story, titled The Return of the Frightful Four, was written by Stan Lee and drawn by Jack Kirby towards the end of their legendary creative partnership on the Fantastic Four. Prices are on the move across most grades, and right now, a raw, high-grade copy will set you back in excess of $600. Video game comic books. Two great things, video games and comic books mashed together into a single medium. This list has two video game-based comics on it, and the first of them comes in at number 9, The Last of Us #1. Published in April of 2013, the comic preceded the release of the video game by just 2 months. Written by Neil Druckmann and drawn by Julian Totino Tedesco, this issue had a limited print run of just over 6,000 copies, which is 1,000 fewer copies than The Walking Dead #1's print run. Earlier this year, HBO announced that they were beginning to develop a Last of Us project, which has put this dark horse rarity on the radar of speculators and collectors alike. Currently bringing in the neighborhood of $160 for raw high-grade copies, limited supply could lead to some interesting values in the future if the show comes to fruition and catches on with audiences. If we're just meeting, my name is Drew Stewart, and I'm the owner of Como Comic Books, a Columbia, Missouri-based comic book vendor. On our YouTube channel, we bring you the best tips and tricks to help you take your comic collection to the next level. If you're interested in comic book collecting or investing in comics, then stick around the channel for more of that. If you're getting value out of the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, or share it out on your social. All of the good things that can help support the channel. When a hero hits the speculation radar, it's generally not too long before villains that are commonly associated with that hero wind up picking up some steam as well. Such is the case for Submariner number 5, our number 8 book. The story, titled Watch Out for Tiger Shark, was written by Roy Thomas and drawn by the legendary John Buscema for the September 1968 issue of Submariner. While the market has no confirmed information to base its speculation on, the two leading contenders for a potential future Submariner project are Tiger Shark, who makes his first appearance here in Submariner number 5, and Atuma, who first appeared in Fantastic Four number 33. A high-grade copy of Submariner number 5 will currently only set you back around $200, so if you're looking for a mid to long-term Silver Age book to hold with some decent spec potential, then Submariner number 5 is an accessible book for a number of community members. Something we've talked about before is when the first appearance gets priced out, you can transition to another book, typically a title series number 1 for the character you're wanting to collect. Such is the case for our number 7 book, Space Usagi number 1. Space Usagi's first appearance is listed as being Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 47, with a preview appearance in the preceding issue. Prices for TMNT 47 have jumped to the $200 range for high-grade copies, compared to the measly $5 I paid for my personal copy just a year ago. So if your budget can't swing a $200 book right now, but you love some Space Usagi, the natural runner-up for you is Space Usagi number 1, which was published in June of 1992 from Mirage Comics. Written and drawn by the nicest guy in comics, Stan Sakai, Space Usagi number 1 comes in at $75 for a high-grade raw copy, which is much easier on the budget than the aforementioned TMNT 47. 2020 and 2021 have been crazy years for the comic market. Pick a book. Any book, and chances are that the issue has seen substantial increases in value over the last 12 to 24 months. Our number 6 book is, surprisingly, an exception. Coming in at number 6 is NYX3, the first appearance of Laura Kinney, otherwise known as X-23. Somehow, NYX3 has held the line at $450 for high-grade raw copies for a while now. And while it seems counterintuitive, it feels like this book is a good buy at that price. X-23 could be a massively popular character in the MCU, with Marvel and Disney's current focus on bringing in younger characters like Kate Bishop and Kamala Khan. X-23 could very easily appear alongside this younger generation of Marvel characters. Published in February of 2004, NYX3 was written by Joe Quesada and drawn by Joshua Middleton. The market still believes in this book as slab values have continued to climb, with 5,465 graded copies on the CGC census. Raw copies may be a bit harder to locate than a slab copy. Coming in at number 5 is a seasonally appropriate entry, The Demon number 1. Published in the fall of 1972, this Jack Kirby written and drawn DC classic features a few first appearances, including the title character Etrigan and Madame Xanadu's sister, Morgan Le Fay. This is a book we've talked about in the past that is continuing to see some steady upward movement, but is still accessible for collectors and investors alike. Looking at GPA sales for Demon 1, values are up across the board in nearly every grade over their 2020 averages, and 9.2 values are currently hovering right at the $500 mark. The dark colors on this cover make higher grade copies tougher to come by, and the values for copies graded above 9.2 reflect that. Currently bringing in the neighborhood of $275 for a raw high-grade copy, this issue remains one of the more affordable number 1s from Jack Kirby's time at DC. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is starting to drive interest in a number of books as plot elements and casting details continue to surface. Just this week, we learned that Will Poulter has officially been cast as Adam Warlock for the film, which is causing books like Thor 165 to move to the forefront of the market. Another character that is expected to show up in the film is the High Evolutionary, who's long been suspected to have a hand in the origin of our favorite galactic trash panda, Rocket Raccoon. Our number 4 book is the High Evolutionary's first appearance, Thor 134. Appearing in the story titled The People Breeders, which was written by Stan Lee and drawn by Jack Kirby, we not only meet the High Evolutionary, but also one of his projects, the Man-Beast. Published in November 1966, Thor 134 is a book that will set you back a bit, as low-grade copies are currently moving in the $150 range, while high-grade copies will cost you upwards of $1,500 plus. A rose by any other name would smell as sweet, unless the rose in question has the first name Hunter and runs around carrying a 4-foot-long razor-sharp double-forked blade. Following the recent announcement that Netflix has ordered an 8-episode Grendel series, Matt Wagner's Vigilante has seen his first appearance jump in value, making our number 3 book the natural fallback for collectors or investors who can't afford to drop the better part of $1,000 on a copy of Primer 2. Coming in at number 3 is Grendel number 1. Featuring the second appearance of Grendel and his arch-rival Argent, Grendel 1 provides us with the origin of Hunter Rose and brings the reader along as he begins his quest to take over the criminal underworld. Another example of a solo series number 1 being a great alternative investment to the first appearance, this March 1983 issue comes with a significant price break over Grendel's first appearance. Currently bringing $250 for a raw high-grade copy, this Matt Wagner written and drawn issue is worth chasing down and is currently on my own want list. So, there was a Spider-Man story that was so despised that it not only drove a significant number of readers away, but it also ushered in one of the character's longest runs of mediocrity. The story, which should have only lasted 6 months, was unnaturally extended to 2 years in length without much reasonable explanation or narrative necessity. In case you're not sure what I'm talking about just yet, I'm talking about the Clone Saga, and for some damn reason, it's back. Ben Reilly, the original Spider clone, is back and poised to take the lead in the current run of Spider-Man books. With the surprise return of the Spider clone, our number 2 book, Amazing Spider-Man 149, seems like it's primed for another 15 minutes of fame. Published in October of 1975, Amazing Spider-Man 149 has a lot going on. You've got Ned Leeds. He's been kidnapped by the Jackal. There's bombs, spider clones, Gwen clones, fights, deaths, but not really, explosions, and more. If you bought this thing off the rack, you really got your 25 cents worth. This issue sports a Gil Kane cover, a story from Jerry I Killed Gwen Stacy Conway, and interior art from underappreciated spider artist Ross Andrew. Back in the Clone Saga's prime, ASM 149 was one of the hottest Amazing Spider-Man back issues around, but currently only brings about $135 for a raw high-grade copy. Depending on how long Ben Reilly sticks around this time, ASM 149 may get the chance to relive some past glories and see some corresponding increases in value. Every once in a while, you stumble into something good, and that was recently my experience with our number 1 book, Super Mario Bros. Number 1. Just a few weeks ago, I was shopping at one of St. Louis's longest-running comic shows, and I came across a copy of Super Mario Bros. Number 1 for really an unbelievable price, and I just couldn't pass it up. In fact, you may have even seen this book in a recent haul video I posted. I'll link to it in the cards if you want to check it out. I was very happy with my purchase at the time, but even more so when just days later it was announced that Chris Pratt would be leading the cast in a brand new animated Mario Bros. Movie. As per usual, the value of this issue shot up following the announcement, making my good deal even better. This issue, along with other early Valiant Nintendo books, can be hard to find and often have a surprising amount of value that a dealer or a local comic store owner may not be aware of if they don't do their due diligence. Super Mario Bros. Number 1 was published in April of 1990 and includes 5 different stories from a variety of creative teams. Currently selling in the neighborhood of $200 for a high-grade raw copy, I wouldn't be surprised if this is a book you can find underpriced just like I did and come away with a great deal. One thing to note on this issue, be sure you're not confusing the more valuable Super Mario Bros. Number 1 with the less valuable Adventures of the Super Mario Bros. Number 1, which features the same cover art. A quick way to check this is to make sure you've got the version with the barcode on the right-hand side of the cover. Don't despair though, if you do find a copy of Adventures of Super Mario Bros. Number 1, it's still a $60 book in high grade. That's not bad. The roller coaster of 2021 is starting to come to an end, and prices for some Bronze and Copper Age books seem to be tapping the brakes after seeing values really break out in the spring and summer. As always, make sure you're doing your own research before pulling the trigger on any significant purchase for your collection or investment portfolio. Prices rise and prices fall, so be sure that you're assessing the risk you're considering taking. Let me know down in the comments which issues you're currently seeking out or investing in. Thank you again to Otis for sponsoring this video. Happy hunting out there and collect responsibly. I will see you in the next one.